Okay, today we're going to be doing an oil change on the 94 Mustang. Just a tutorial video on how to change your oil. I'm also going to be doing a T5 fluid change, which is the manual transmission fluid. You can use automatic transmission fluid for the T5, it actually recommends that, but I've been reading a lot of reviews, and the Royal Purple Synchro Max, I heard great things about this. It's good stuff. It's Royal Purple Synchro Max. I guess it creates smoother shifts, and I heard great things about it, so we're gonna try it. And then for the gear oil, for the motor oil, I'm using the Castrol GTX Classic High Zinc. This stuff is pretty good. It's 20W50. I like high oil pressure. This is my drag car. It's my drag car, so I like high oil pressure. It's 20W50. It's the classic. It's good for push rod motors and high performance camshafts. Good shit. Good stuff. But yeah, it's nice. So first thing we're gonna do is, before we get into it, and then for the 94, 95, 302s, FL1A, this is the oil filter. I'll take it out of the box for you. It's the oil filter, FL1A, Ford Motorcraft. So what the plan is we're going to start this up. We're going to let it idle for about, say, 4 or 5 minutes, get some heat in the oil, shut it off, and then I'm going to put jack underneath it, put it on jack stands, drain the oil, put new oil in it. So while I'm doing that, I will fast forward through the video at that certain spot where I'm trying to get the jacks out. But until then, I'm going to start it up. This right here is your front, that's your front hump, okay? That is a 13/16 socket. Yeah, and then you have another one back in the back, which we'll get to, but this is one step at a time to show you guys. So I'm gonna go ahead and undo this. You're not gonna have a light, because I'm using my phone light as my flashlight, so. 13/16. Wasn't on there that tight. It's actually on there pretty loose. Just like that. Start draining some of that oil out. We'll wait for that to completely drain out. Use this rag, put my hood on. So you guys can see a little bit up here. If you could see that's your oil filter. Okay. That right there's your oil filter, FL1A Ford Motorcraft. Right now I got a Fram on it, but this is your Ford. This is your oil filter. You can see the oil's finishing up, draining right now. I'm going to, since this motor that I have in here is freshly rebuilt, I'm going to examine this oil, guys, and see what it looks like, see if there's stuff in it, because it's a freshly rebuilt motor. Planning on going to the NMRA this weekend. It's an NMRA race in Norwalk, Ohio. Just take the car out, see what it does. Looking kind of pretty excited about it. So there'll be more content coming up on that. But like I said, this is just a waiting game. I'm just waiting for all this to drain all the way out. You got to remember, guys, the car is jacked up. So most of the oil is going to be on the back hump, which we're going to get to here in a second. All right, guys, we're back. I cleaned off the washer. Just a plastic washer. Goes on the oil pan. Cleaned off the threads and the washer. So yeah, once it starts getting like that, where it's just barely dripping, you can take your nice handy dandy. Well, I'm just gonna take an old rag, and you want to wash it, clean up around there. Actually, me personally, I push some of it in, not a lot into the threads, but I push a little bit in, and then I go ahead and start. Now, when you go to put this in, make sure you don't have the threads cross-threaded. Just put it in with your hand to where it gets nice and tight. Right about there. That's tight. Wipe up a little bit extra. Spin them with your hand again, if you can. Tighten it. Clean up around where all the oil was dripping down. And once you get that far, take your 13/16 socket or wrench, whatever you have. Put it on. Not at a good angle here. Everything's on. And you don't want to over tighten these. You just want to snug it up. That's pretty snug right there. So any vibration that you have, you know what I mean? That's the thing, man. You don't want to over tighten your drain plug, all right? Because the next thing you know, you're gonna have to be retapping it. And when you go to retap a drain plug, it's not difficult. It's just more of a hassle. That right there is actually pretty tight. It's not overly tightened, but it's on there good. I know the washer's seated nice and good up against the oil pan. All right, so once you get done with that step, we're gonna move on to the back. So I'm gonna go ahead and start pushing you back there. I'm gonna make sure that there's a good angle for you to see. All right, cool. I think that's probably the best angle. All right, oil pan. Oil. Looks okay. Alright. The same process as over there. Right here's my oil drain plug. This is on the back hump. So what we're gonna do here, same ordeal. Let's see if we can get it. Boom. Now this is probably where the majority of your oil is going to be coming out. Yep, that's where the majority of your oil. I'm actually going to sit here and watch just in case, guys, because I think the oil pan I have actually right now, I don't know if it's gonna hold 7 quarts. So I'm gonna, if it gets to a sketchy situation, I'll have to put the oil drain plug back in. I hope I don't get to that, but we'll find out. I think it only holds 6 quarts or 7 quarts of oil, so we might get lucky. It's coming out strong. Oil looks pretty good, to be honest with you guys. It didn't really need changed. I'm going racing, so I thought it'd be a good idea to change it. Back to the business. Just like that, you're back in business. That's all. Alright, so once you get the threads cleaned up, your wash cleaned up, and it stopped draining like that, still going to leak a little bit, drizzle out, go ahead and put your lock nut in, which I'm going to try to do right now. Okay, now that right there is hand tight. You don't have to go extremely tight, it's just like the other one. Alright. Oh, all right, guys. That is that right there is one of the dumbest ways to remove one, but that was on there extremely tight. I got it to where it's loose enough now that I can actually do it myself. But if you get in a situation like that, I don't advise anybody doing that. That's a redneck way of being able to get it out. Okay, when it won't come out. Yeah. So what I did was, if you're not using the filter, you gotta stay away from the threads. Okay, because there's gonna be threads coming out of your block for your oil filter to set on. They come out about, well, I'll show you here in a minute, but I think it's about 1.5 inches. So what I did was I went further than 1.5 inches, pretty much down on the Fram filter where the black stuff is, and I poked a screwdriver hole through it, and what I did was I used it to turn it. You know what I mean? So that is not the way you should, but if you don't have anything else to work with and your filter's on there extremely tight, that's what you have to do. I'm sure there's better ways than that. I'm just a backyard mechanic, so I improvise the best I can to get it off. So that's what we're gonna do. I'm gonna get a rag right now, and I'm gonna wipe my hands. I'm gonna wipe my hands off. There you go. Wipe my hands off. That filter is on there extremely tight. See, remember guys, just an oil change. This is just an oil change, okay? This is just an oil change. Anything with a car, man, you're gonna run into issues, okay? I don't care what you're doing, and unless you're, most of you guys are probably watching this video aren't pros, you're just wanting to learn how to do it yourself. Well, I'm here to tell you, you're gonna run into things that you wish you never did. For instance, a frame filter being on there. I guarantee you if it was a motorcraft, it wouldn't have been like that, but that's me. That's just me. All this is going to need degreased, which I can do. Oh, wow, that thing was on there tight, boy. Now, a moment of truth, guys. Moment of truth here. Yep, comes out about 1/2 inch, guys. I'd say about 1 inch. A full inch, I'd say your oil. Now, I really got to show you guys this so you guys know, okay? Because this is what a lot of people run into, and I'm so happy it just showed it. All right, so this filter, let me empty it. Nope, it didn't do it. Okay, but you see this ring, okay? When you take your oil filter off, make sure that ring ain't sticking to your block. Always, always, always make sure that ring is still attached to your oil filter. And if it's sticking to the block, that's okay. Just take it off the block. That's just something you can do. But as you can see, this oil filter is done for. Hole in that side. Hole in that side. And you can see where I poked it. Poked it right. Okay, guys, we're back. So I took the time to go ahead and fill up about almost a full quart into my oil filter itself. Now, this has been sitting for a while. You always want to fill up your oil filter before you put it on, so that the materials inside the filter are soaked with the oil. It's a good idea. I like to do it. Just a recommendation. So now what we're going to do is we're going to get underneath the car and we're going to put this oil filter on. Get you in a good spot here. Told you. Alright, so first thing you want to do is you want to clean up where you took the old one off at. Which is exactly what I'm about to do right now. I'm cleaning all around it. And these were the threads that I was talking about earlier. One second. Look at this. Okay, these are the threads that I was talking about earlier, right here. Those are the threads that you want to stay away from. I did a good job. I didn't ding anything up on them, so that's good. So what we're gonna do now is we're gonna go ahead and put our filter on after it's all cleaned up. Now your filter has a rubber ring around it, which you want to actually put a little bit of oil around the ring. And I'm going to go ahead. Now, there are a lot of oil is going to fall out of this because I filled it way too high for that angle. But that's okay. I have an extra quart. So, now, this is where it gets a little bit tricky. I'm going to go up between my radiator hose and my cross member. I'm going to bring it down. Now, when you go to put this on, it, like I said, it's going to leak. But you kind of just try to find the best spot. And you'll know if you cross thread these. See how easy that's going on right there, guys? I mean, that's going on like it's cake. I mean, it's spinning freely on there. Now you want to, I'm not going to put this on there super duper tight, because the hotter the car gets, the more it'll tighten up against it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my rag and I'm going to turn it. I'm turning it more than that, but for the time being, I'm just gonna turn it some more. There we go. And you'll see if it's leaking. If it's not on there tight enough, you'll see it leaking. But you want to get it as tight as you possibly can with your hands. Try to get it as tight as you can with your hands. You ain't gonna hurt the threads getting it tight with your hands. You don't have to worry about breaking it. That's on there pretty tight right there. That right there is pretty tight. Yeah, you could get it tighter, you know what I mean? But for the time being, that's on there pretty good. But now I take my rag and I clean up the Motorcraft filter because I like the Motorcraft filters. They're really good quality filters. That's on there tight. You can't get much tighter than that. I'm gonna use my degreaser because I got oil everywhere from that last one. Trying to get it off. And that's how you put your filter on, guys. And now we're going to move up to the top of the car because you got both your drain plugs in, so that's good. One last check. We're going to move to the top. Okay, just in case anybody was wondering, the oil pan that I have upgraded on this Mustang is the Proform Ford 302 Fox body oil pan for Ford Mustang and Thunderbird. It's actually a really nice oil pan. Whenever I got it, and I like it a lot. It fits really nice, and the oil capacity is 7 quarts. So I'll actually have to put 7 quarts into this. But if this was just a normal stock oil pan, you would put 5 quarts. So I'm going to go ahead and put 7 quarts in here. This is quart number 6. I was wondering, I was like, man, where's all my oil going? Good thing it wasn't going underneath the car. Always make sure, yeah, that's another thing, guys. Always make sure that your drain plugs and your oil filters are in your oil filters in before you start pouring oil down into your block. Unless you'll have a little bit of a mess. That will be 6. This right here will be 7 quarts, guys. 7 quarts of oil right here. Looks like we got a storm coming in. Out here in Ohio. This will be quart number 7, guys. Okay, let's see where that sits us. It's on there good. Alright, I'm going to move you on over here. Let's see where that puts us on the dipstick. And we got some on the dipstick there. As you can see, it's about halfway. That's with the car jacked up, so it'll be a little bit less than that. Actually, in the oil, on the dipstick itself, because you got to remember the front of the car is jacked up quite a bit. So what we'll do now is we're going to lower the car. We're going to lower the car down, and I'm going to fire it up and check the oil level. Alright guys, so we have oil on the dipstick in a good spot, halfway between the 2 dots. So what we're going to do is we're going to lower the car, turn it on, check the oil then, but I'm going to skip that part so that you guys can see how I drain transmission fluid. So I'm going to take care of all this oil, get all this cleaned up, and I'm going to show you how to get the T5 transmission fluid out of the car and the new Synchro Max put in the car. Royal Purple Synchro Max put in the car. So we'll go ahead and get to that, and I'm going to start cleaning up. Alright guys, so this is the Royal Purple Synchro Max. It's really good stuff. I got the pump for it. So you're going to pump it all the way up. This is where we just finished up draining. We're going to pump it up into, let's see if I can show you up through here. There's another fill drain directly above the drain for the bottom. So it's like literally directly above it. So what you're going to do is it's going to take about 3 quarts of this. I have 1 quart in already. So I'm going to finish this up, and then I'm going to put the cap back on, or the drain plug back on, and we'll be good to go.